Doing a full service on the Citroen DS3 1.6 HDI. This will also cover some Peugeot models, and we're replacing the air, oil, cabin and fuel filters. We're starting underneath the car. The under tray is missing on this car and would be normally removed with 10mm bolts. The sump plug is 21mm, so that's the first thing you'll want to remove, and drain the oil. Leave the oil to drain as long as it takes, and while you're waiting for that you can get on with replacing the washer on the sump plug, as you'll see here. So we've got the new washer. Once the oil has finished draining, you can replace the sump plug and tighten to 34 Newton meters. Now we need to locate the oil filter. We need to remove this top pipe here, and we also need to remove this lower pipe here. The easiest way to do this is to remove the complete box with the pipe. There is a little trim clip at the front of the box. Remove this, slide this part back here, and you'll be able to lift this box and the air pipe out of the way. It may require a little bit of manoeuvring. Obviously it'll be easier for you with two hands. And this is the oil filter housing. The socket required is 27mm. Now remove the old oil filter from the housing, and you'll have this rectangular shaped O-ring to replace. So when you're fitting the new O-ring, be extra sure that the whole O-ring is pointing in the same direction. It sits at a slight angle, and you'll need to check all the way around. Now you need to refit the new filter. If you take a look at the housing in the engine, there's a hole which you need to locate this part into when refitting the filter, and it'll help to lubricate this slightly. And now you'll be able to replace the filter housing cover. It's quite a squeeze, and you'll just want to make sure that it's square with the housing and that the O-ring doesn't get knocked out of position. And you'll want to tighten this to 25 Newton meters. Now we're ready to refill the oil. The capacity on this engine is 3.8 litres, so you can start by adding approximately 3.5 litres. Once you've added the initial amount, run the car for a few minutes and switch it off for a few minutes, and then we can proceed to check the level. To check the level, remove the dipstick, wipe off all of the oil and replace the dipstick all the way to the bottom. Now you'll be able to see the level, and what you'll want to do is top up the oil until it reaches the mark on the right. So the air filter's at the rear here, and the fuel filter is under this cover here, which we'll need to take off to undo the screws for the air filter. We've got 3 T25 Torx screws. Remove any debris from the airbox that you can. Use a vacuum cleaner if you've got one. Fitting the new filter, make sure that the edges are all located correctly. Now for the fuel filter, remove the feed pipes. Remove this connector here at the back. And you've got two 8mm bolts at the back. So the new filter is this metal part at the bottom. So you need to remove this area here with these T15 Torx, 3 of them. Make sure this centre part is turned to the right like this. Now make sure that the O-ring here gets replaced.
And now you can replace the filter assembly complete. Now before starting, you can cycle the ignition a few times. This usually fills the fuel filter. So the cabin filter is 2 parts. A large and a small to replace, and it's located in the engine bay. Remove this cover here, and the cabin filter box is located here. So this is the large piece, and the smaller one is to the side. Slide it across and pull it out. Now take note of the direction on the original filter. So the top is this side, the direction of the airflow is downward. So the airflow on this one here is that way, so we need to flip it that way. That's the service complete. To reset the service light, with the ignition off, hold down the trip counter reset button here and switch the ignition on, at which point you'll get a countdown from 10 to 0. Once it reaches 0, you can take your finger off and the service interval will have been reset. We'll no longer have the spanner light. And the service light won't come back on until the specified mileage has happened.